What got you the byline ultimately?
I fought for it. I went like, hey, hey, I wrote this with you. And so Michelle did, move over and let me share a byline. And then I started coming up with stuff on my own and getting things of my own into the magazine. I know there was one piece that I did that kind of was well received, which was this whole thing about Native Americans. And it was sort of trying to prove that Native Americans, were more advanced and noble. And but in a kind of disparaging way. I mean, my theory was that the Native Americans did have the wheel. They just hadn't figured out what to do with it. And so it showed some illustrations where someone was wearing a wheel around their neck, as a collar and different things, but they just hadn't figured out that you had to put it on something and pull things. So, and I remember getting a letter from someone at the Smithsonian saying, how brilliant, and, I must have studied the Indians for years or whatever to be able to write this. But and then it was praise for their poetry and music. And I remember that one of the songs that I cited, of course, as being, it was supposed to be a literary learned treatise. And one of the songs that I cited was the poetry of this song. And it was, I'm going to meet my grandmother. And the chorus was, go ahead, go ahead. So anyway, that was. I mean, you have to remember that the National Lampoon in that non-PC era was really, it was an equal opportunity offender. It attacked everyone.
It was very well known at the time for being very aggressive and sort of borderline mean, wasn't it?
Well, mean, I would say it was. Satire is mean. I mean, is Jonathan Swift a Modest Proposal? Is that mean? Would you call that mean? I would say it's sharp. And I think that my next boyfriend, Michael O'Donoghue, was really the master at that kind of thing. And one of the things that I really admired, a brilliant piece that he did, was called the Vietnamese Baby Book. Which featured things like Baby's First Wound. A book that could well be revived today with a slightly different slant. Mad Magazine was of a different sensibility and a different generational appeal, I think. And Mad Magazine, and interestingly enough, a lot of the people that wrote for the Lampoon had sort of grown up on Mad Magazine. But, the big difference was that with National Lampoon, you would do the piece very, very close to the bone, close to the way the original would be, which is really one of the things about parody. And in Mad Magazine, the character would have flies buzzing around their head. It would, it was much more cartoony. Interesting, there was a sort of nexus where Mad Magazine and the Lampoon came together, which was in the Lieutenant Calley cover of the Lampoon, which showed him as, the famous mad character. And he was saying, and instead of saying, what me worry, he was saying, what me lie. And so that was kind of where those two things went together and got plugged into each other.
You have to admit that is a step past the Smothers Brothers, booking lefty folk singers on their show and getting in trouble for that.
It is. And in fact, as a result of the Vietnamese Baby Book, Michael O'Donoghue got hate mail from GIs who threatened him with physical violence because they kind of, didn't get it, I think. So there were Lampoon. Henry Beard used to reject people for the Lampoon very kindly by saying that they were too far out for the National Lampoon. And people would be very pleased. They'd go away going, wow, I'm too far out. That was his method of rejection. Wow, I'm too far out for the Lampoon. I must be really far out. But yeah, Lampoon tried to stay pretty close to the edge.